So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to actually take real novel snippets or small excerpts about a novel, and we're going to try to figure out which one of the 4 subgenres of fiction they are. So all 24 of these that you picked up, they are going to either be realistic, historical, science, or fantasy. And we're going to figure it out by looking at story elements, character, setting, events, to try to figure out which one it is. So we'll start with number 1. This is a book called Road Trip by Gary Paulsen. Kind of on a side note, all of these books are real books. So if you read one of these and you're like, ooh, that sounds good, it's a real book, so you could check it out. So here's Road Trip by Gary Paulsen. Father and son team up for an unforgettable road trip to rescue a border collie. When their truck breaks down, they commandeer an old school bus, along with its mechanic, Gus, and a waitress escaping a tense situation. So now that we've read it, we're going to start with pencil only, because you don't know if you're right yet. You want to make sure you can change it if you're wrong. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and underline what I believe are the elements of this story. So our characters, it looks like we have a father and a son. We have a mechanic named Gus, and we have a waitress. So there's our characters. And then I'm looking for setting, and nothing really jumps out to me as far as the setting is concerned. It doesn't feel like it's in the past. It doesn't feel like it's in the future. I'm pretty sure this is a book that's happening right now. And then I'm going to go look at the events, like what is going on. So they're on a road trip trying to rescue a border collie. And if you don't know what a border collie is, it's a type of dog like Lassie. Maybe you know what Lassie is, but that's what kind of dog it is. Their truck breaks down and they take over or commandeer an old school bus, which sounds pretty funny, with Gus and the waitress. So I'm going to use these things that I underlined to try and decide which one of my genres it is. And you have to ask yourself some questions. So right away with fantasy, I know that fantasy includes magical elements, non-existent worlds, talking animals, superpowers. And I don't really recall magic, superpowers. So I'm going to eliminate fantasy. And then we also talked about, we're pretty sure it's not set in the past. And historical fiction is set in the past. So it's not historical fiction. And then science fiction has, this is where it's in the future, technology, outer space, things like that. And we don't really have anything in our underlying characteristics that meets that. So I'm going to go to realistic fiction. This is a genre set in modern present. Pretty sure that this story is happening now, or the present. All the characters are human. I realize there's a border collie, but in this case, the border collie is not talking. It's just a pet. And then everything in here is something that could really happen. Road trip, truck breaks down, they take over a bus. So I'm going to say that I believe this is realistic fiction. And then over here on my answer key, I'm going to write realistic fiction. So that's how that works. We'll do another one. So let's go down here to number 2. Dangerous Waters by Gregory Moan. The great ocean liner Titanic is preparing to cross the Atlantic. On board is a sinister thief bent on stealing a rare book. Patrick is a 12-year-old Irish boy working as a steward on the ship. Can Patrick stop the thief? So again, the first thing I'm going to do, we're on an ocean liner, the Titanic. We're going to cross the Atlantic. There's a thief for a character. Patrick is a character. And then what is happening? Someone is going to try to steal a rare book, and Patrick is going to try to stop the thief. So again, we're going to walk through our questions. I don't know about you, but right away I see the Titanic. You have to know a little bit about history to figure this out. But the Titanic was a real ship that took off from England and ended up hitting an iceberg in the Atlantic, and it sank, and nearly everybody died. Not everybody, but mostly everyone. So I know that this is a real historical event in the past. But we have Patrick and a thief and a rare book, which to me are all made up. So right away, because it's in the past and includes a real event, I believe it goes with historical fiction. Set in the past, involves real people or a significant event. In this case, the sinking of the Titanic. So I'm going to say HF, and then on my answer key, I'm going to write historical fiction. Now, you're going to go and do all 24 in pencil. So you're going to have this all filled out, all of these underlined and labeled in pencil. Then around the room are going to be answer keys. So you're going to be able to go up to the answer key and you're going to be able to check which one of these you got right or wrong. So let's say you checked the answer key and number 1 and number 2 were correct. You then need to go back. Realistic fiction is blue. So I'm going to grab my blue. Now that I know that it's realistic fiction, I'm going to go ahead and go over this stuff in blue, and then I'm going to go ahead and write realistic fiction in blue, because now I know it is the correct answer. Now that I find out historical fiction is the correct answer, I'm going to go through and do in green, and then I'm going to make sure that this is historical fiction. Now, don't do the colored part until you have checked all of these with the answer key. If you got one wrong, so let's say number 6 you got wrong, you need to change it on your answer key and then make sure you color code it, here's number 6, correctly on here. Don't accidentally color code it the wrong answer. So you're going to do all 24 in pencil first, then go back and color code.